Hope my screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so today topic is serial code optimizations. It is mostly those who have done compiler course. Actually, uh, it is a repetitions kind of thing, but still we need to look at from the HPC point of view. So whenever we select some algorithm, okay, so to implement, particularly given a problem, so we have selected some algorithm to implement, and once you select the algorithm, then we do go for coding. So at the time of coding, so what kind of optimizations we should follow? So that is the most important point in this focus of this class, today class. So introduction to code optimizations, then machine independent or dependent optimizations. So what some optimizations are machine independent, some are machine dependent. So some machine independent optimizations, regardless of underlying machines, we should implement them. Okay, and there are many common sense of optimizations. Do less work, avoid expensive operations, shrinking work set. There are some common sense optimizations. And simple measure but large impact. So whenever you do simulations or vectorize the implementations. Suppose it is they have a lot of array access, then we can vectorize the things. Then branch, common subtraction eliminations, and there are many C++ optimizations also there, C++ specific optimizations. And after all, so we need to go for profiling. Profiling means whenever you execute on some particular message, how it really performs. Okay, we see the thing, and we need to find the hotspot. Hotspot means where it is taking huge amount of time. So where we can do our optimizations more. Yeah, we should focus on which part of the code. So that is the things we will discuss in this class. So code optimization and performance, some are machine independent optimizations, just like code motions, reduction in strength, common subtraction. We'll have examples for each of these soft things. Okay, and then machine dependent optimizations, pointer code, loop unrolling, enabling instructions level parallelism. That thing also we looked at. And another thing is tuning, identifying the performance bottleneck. So where does our performance program is taking huge amount of time, and which part of the code we should optimize more so that overall performance speed up will be more, performance will be more. And understanding the processor optimization, particularly lower level one, and then the branches, caches, blocking, and some kind of advices. Advices means if you profile something, and sometimes some profiler they will advise you, please look at this part of code and try to optimize in this way. So some profiler, so they give advice also. So yeah, just like Intel VTune compiler or BCC Visual C++ compiler, after profiling they will give some suggestions. So means after running, after profiling, they will try to give some suggestions, and you can use that suggestions for improving the performance. That also very. And whenever you are doing any kind of implementation of any program, so what we do actually, so in general, we try to choose a very good algorithm or do intelligent coding from the programmer point of view. And once we code, then we use compiler. Okay, and compiler try to optimize a lot of things and generate very good code. And processor, so in processor what happens, if your processor is very good processor, high end processor, then it can run very fast. Okay, it depends upon processor also, what is the configuration of caches, pipelining, it depends upon that. And based on this, what kind of optimizations we should do. And many things we don't have any control, suppose OS load and many uncontrollable things we cannot do, but we should focus on how to improve the performance of the code or our implementations. And in general compiler, so whenever it compiler transform one code to another code, then it generally do a faithful transformations. Faithful transformation means it should not it should be must be faithful to original program. So whatever supposed to do the work, it should do. Okay, it should not do other thing. Okay, so suppose you are doing some optimizations, but it is changing the meaning of the things. That is not acceptable. Another thing is the great reality is there is more to the performance than asymptotic complexity. So once you choose what algorithm to be implemented, okay, then we don't have control over algorithm, but how to implement it nicely. So if you implement nicely, then we can get a constant factor of improvement, improvement. And constant factor, it also matter too. Suppose you have chosen a problem with matrix multiplications, and you have chosen some way to implement matrix multiplications, and way you implement, okay, so performance will depends. So even 10%, 15%, 10 times performance improvement can also be seen based on how you are writing your code. And you can see a 10 times performance ranging depending on how you write the code. Sometimes it matters. And in asymptotic complexity, so algorithmic analysis, we looked at constant factor, but in real life cases, constant factor also matter too. So 2 times performance improvement means 2 times less time is a significant improvement. Even 10% or 20% performance improvement, less time is also significant. And we should optimize at multiple level. So choosing very good algorithm, very good way of data representations, procedure level, loop level, all levels of implementations we should optimize so that we'll get more performance or very good speed up of our program. So we must understand to optimize 3 things. So first thing is how program are compiled and executed. Then second one is how to measure program performance and identify bottlenecks. So once you compile a program and after executions, so we should be able to identify the program performance. Also, we should be able to identify the bottlenecks where it is lacking. Okay, suppose you have written a program and it is taking 10 minutes of time. Okay, and we don't want that program to take 10 minutes, but we want to minimize the execution time. Then how to do? So we need to at least profile it. How much time it is taking first, we need to look at, and which part of the program is taking how much time. If you can get that thing, particularly profile the things, then you can say that this part of the program is taking huge amount of time. Let me concentrate on that part of the program so that execution time will reduce. And how to improve performance without destroying the code modularity, generality, and readability. These 3 things are most important thing in optimizing the performance of system. Okay, optimize system performance of any program. And optimizing compiler. The recent efficient mapping of program to machines, in general, what it do? So it automatically we don't do anything, but it do register allocations, code selection and ordering, eliminating minor inefficiency. It automatically do. Compiler will automatically do, but don't usually improve the asymptotic efficiency. Means up to the programmer to select the best overall algorithm. So big O are more often than constant factors. Okay, more important than constant factor, but constant factor also matters. What I will see. So if you choose a very good algorithm, so n squared to n log n if you choose, then or n, then it will improve the asymptotic complexity. But whenever you implement, at that time actually constant matters. So 20%, 30%, or 50% speed up, that also matters. And how have difficulty overcoming the optimization blocker. So sometimes whatever in program, so some kind of coding style or some kind of things, it actually block the optimizations. Okay, it automatically block the compiler to optimize. So that means compiler will ignore that part. So suppose there are memory aliasing is there, then memory means the compiler will not try to optimize that part. Potential procedure side effect. Okay, so in general, compiler will not optimize the whole program. So it will optimize inside a procedure. So if your program is having lot of procedure, then it will not optimize across the procedure. Okay, so many times it will not optimize across the procedure. That means the compiler will have difficulty in optimizing the things. That means it is a optimization blocker. So GCC or any compiler, so it cannot take benefit. And another most important thing is limitation of optimizing compiler. So operate under fundamental constants, that is, must not cause any change in program behavior under any possible conditions. That means whatever supposed to do in a program, it should do. It should not change the basic behavior, so fundamental behavior of the program. Okay, so you are supposed to write suppose sorting code for sorting, and if it is not doing the sorting, doing something else, that means that optimization is not good. Okay, it is not theoretically basically it is not variable. It is not optimization at all. It should do whatever supposed to do and with less amount of time. Then only you can say it is faithful optimizations. Okay, and often prevents making optimization that would only affect behavior under some conditions. So that is also another thing, some pathological, that also we'll see. So is there any doubt up to this point? So
sir, what is memory aliasing?
that we will see in the examples. So memory aliasing means suppose you are using lot of pointer code, pointer code. So from one procedure it is going to other procedure and lot of using pointer code. Then actually compiler will not change that kind of alias memory code. So it do not try to optimize.
Okay.
Simply ignore that.
Answer, but it's recommended to have a lot of procedures for clean code.
Yeah, a lot of procedure for clean code, but at high level, we should optimize because compiler will try to ignore the heavily procedural code. So inside a procedure, it try to optimize. Compiler will not optimize the code throughout the whole program. It will not optimize. It will optimize inside the procedure mostly. And inter-procedure optimizations scope are very, very less. Okay, so it's our duty to write a very good code. Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, could you take a slide back, please?
Yeah.
One more, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, one more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is modularity here? Like in the last point, how to improve performance without destroying code, modularity and generality. So what do you mean by modularity and generality here?
So whenever you are writing code, so user will write very good code with code modularity, generality, and readability. So readability means particularly inside compiler they don't look at readability and generality, but whenever writing your own code, so you write one program, so which have modularity, generality, and readability. Readability means how people are able to understand the code. Okay, after writing. So how the code is modular, that is modularity. Generality means how actually generalizedly means what I can say, see the code. So this is high level way of coding style. Okay, modularity, generality, and readability. So after rewriting the code, suppose you try to rewrite the code. So this is one real code is there, and you have converted to another optimized real code. Then try to not to destroy these features. You will get optimized code. Try to write optimized code, but try to maintain that thing. Because whenever you're writing optimized code, also sometimes your optimized code also may be required to read by other people. May need to understand by other people, not only the you. Are you getting a point?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, one more. I have one more concern, sir. You talked about the fact that we need to know how compilers work, but that is due the next half of the semester in our other course. Like we have not yet been taught how compilers work. Is that going to be a problem?
No, that will not be a problem. But whatever here we'll discuss. So without looking at compiler also, we should try some things. Okay, so we should try to optimize the code on our own. So that kind of optimizations we looked at here in this class itself.
Okay, sir.
So who were limited on these things. So Most analysis is performed only within the procedure. So most of the compiler, they don't look at intra procedure. Okay. So whole program analysis is too expensive in most of the cases. They don't look at actually inter procedures. So they looked at inside a procedure. Okay. So most analysis performed only within procedures. So that's why scope is very less. If you look at compiler optimization, scope is very less because they looked at within the procedures. And in a code, suppose some function call is there, then they try to avoid because function may have some other implications. And most of the analysis is based on static informations. Particularly, compiler has difficulties in anticipating runtime inputs. Okay, so that's why most of the analysis do compiler is static informations. And when in doubt, the compiler must be conservative. So suppose compiler have some doubts at the time of optimizations, then compiler generally ignore that thing. Compiler is very, very conservative, must be conservative. Compiler do the conservative work. So it is not aggressive. So whenever you optimize as minus O3 or in GCC, then still it try to optimize, but whenever he have doubts, compiler have doubts, so it don't take aggressive decision, but it take actually conservative decisions. Conservative decision means if you have doubt, then it will not optimize. And because of this reason, so don't rely on compiler completely. So try to write good code on our own and optimize your own code. So ultimately what we conclude, so we trust compiler. Compiler can optimize, but still let's try to write our own code very nicely. You try to write good code, optimize your own code. Even if compiler can do a very good justice. Okay. So because you are writing your code. So there are many machine independent optimizations are there. Whether you are running on any compiler, regardless of processor, regardless of machines, or regardless of compiler. So optimization you should do regardless of processor and compiler. So let's see some machine independent optimizations. And they are very common. So this is common sense. So the common sense optimizations. Okay. So regardless of what processor you are using, what compiler you are using, what system you are using, you should do this machine independent common sense optimizations. Okay. What are the common sense optimizations? Let's see. Do less work. So do less work. So I will give you some examples. Through example, you will see. So try to optimize, try to do less work, shrink the working set. Okay, so that also we'll see. Avoid expensive operations. So strength reductions, convert costly to cheaper operations, or use lookup table, LUT, and try to do sub-expression eliminations if you are able to do at the your level, coding level. But internally, anyhow, it will do. But always you cannot trust. Okay. If you are doing at the time of your coding, then it will be once you know what you are doing. Okay. Do less work. So are you able to see the code? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Let me
Yes, sir.
look at the pointer.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So in this code, so if you look at, so flag is equal to initially flag is equal to false. So initially flag is equal to false we are setting, and then for I is equal to 0 to n, we are using some complex functions. Okay, and AI. What is complex function? We don't know. On some array element AI, and if it is less than threshold, then flag is equal to true. If flag is equal to true, then ultimately, if complex functions AI is less than threshold, then flag will be set, and it will run for I is equal to 0 to n minus 1. Okay, so start from 0 and it goes up to n minus 1. So in this case, doing less work. So anyhow, once this flag is equal to set is equal to true, then we don't need to go up to last element. So is it true? Do less work. So suppose I convert in this.
Yes.
So if flag is equal to true, then break. So this putting a break will actually reduce the amount of work. Suppose in case of I is equal to 2, n is equal to 10,000, and I is equal to 2, this flag is getting satisfied. then why to go further? This is do less work. This kind of very simplistic optimizations we should look at the time of coding. Okay. This is very simplistic example. Shrink the working set. Shrinking the working set. Working set of a memory is amount of memory it uses. So given a program, so working set of a memory is the amount of memory it uses during runtime. Okay. So use less memory, it may fit into cache. And if you fit into cache, you will get less misses. And this simple example is example of histogram calculation of X-ray image. So in general, any image calculations nowadays, this CNN, DNN, this bigger thing also they are using 8-bit image. Okay, so if you use unsigned int, suppose you use unsigned int image mn is suppose very large. So if you look at image size is suppose 50 megapixel image. So take 50 megapixel image. So whatever size of mn, so in general 50 means roughly we can say how much it will be. Suppose 50 megapixels, 50 into 10 to the 6. Okay, so roughly m and n will be 10 to the 3 into 7. 7 into 10 to the 3. M is equal to 7 into 10 to the 3, n is equal to 7 into 10 to the 3, then it will become 50 megapixel around. So if we use unsigned int is how much? What is the size of the unsigned int in C program? Any student?
4 bytes.
Unsigned int. Integer 4 byte. But if you are using a grayscale or 8-bit image for this, then why to use 4 byte? You can manage it 1 byte. So use unsigned char. If you use unsigned char, then you will reduce the amount of memory you require to process it. So this kind of very things at the time of implementations will take care of this thing. So yeah.
So this is just about the cache, right? I mean, if there is no concept of caches and cache memory being faster, this is not very usable, right?
No, still it is usable because working set will be less. Anyhow, all the system will have cache. So it will use less amount of memory also.
Okay, but say if cache is not present anywhere in my system, then also this will be beneficial.
May not be, but if it is cache is available, then definitely it will be beneficial. And if you are having only memory also, it will require less amount of memory. So in this case, for 50 megapixel, 50 into 10 to the 6 into 32 bit you require 4 byte. But in this case, 50 into 10 to the 6 into 1 byte. 50 MB you require, and in that case 200 MB you require. First case.
Yes, sir, that is fine.
Nothing is memory size will increase. And whenever memory size you are reducing, then it may fit into your cache. Okay, so in general cache line size. So cache line sizes are in general 64 byte. Okay, so in earlier case, so in a one line or in a one block, 64 byte one block. So earlier case, in this case, only how much 16 pixel you can put, but in this case you can put actually 64 pixel in a cache block. So in that way, number of misses will reduce. So working set, if you reduce the working set, your program will be faster. Memory requirement will be less. Memory requirement less means it may fit into cache or may have less cache miss. And this is another things, code motions. So common sense of optimizations, code motions. Reduce the frequency with which computation is performed. So if you look at this code, so it will be always be produced samples, especially moving code out of the loop. So for I is equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus, and j is equal to this. And what you are doing in this case, a n into I plus j equal to bj you are doing. And if we convert this code to this code, what you are trying to do, this n into I, who are moving out of this inner for loop. So what you are putting, Ni is equal to n into I you are putting, and here you are using Ni plus j you are doing. So because this code is this multiplications move out of the loop, that means who are doing less work. This is code motions. This is also very common sense optimizations. Okay. So this will reduce the execution time. And this kind of things we can take care during the coding. And most compilers do a good job with array code plus simple loop structure for simple loop structure. But suppose if you put some kind of function call in between, suppose in between you put some extra function call, then compiler may not optimize. Suppose in between you put one function call here after that, just after that or somewhere, then compiler may not optimize. Even if that function call is independent of this, still compiler will not touch this code. But if you know, then you can write in this way. Are you getting a point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So strength reduction, another example, replace cross-tree operations with simpler ones.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, how does compiler recognize that CSO part? I mean, how does compiler know this is independent and all that?
No, compiler internally compiler have this code to optimize. So compiler have a lot of things to optimize. But if it is, suppose in this case, if you put a procedure inside, so suppose dummy procedure. Okay, so what do you do? So I'm putting just 1 minute. So in this case, so what I'm trying to do, so here in between, I am putting some dummy call. Some dummy call. So even if this dummy call is not doing anything, but compiler will not try to optimize this thing. Compiler will not automatically take out this thing because of this dummy call. If dummy call is not there, then it will try to produce this kind of code. But if your dummy call is introduced, then this code, it will not try to optimize. This block, it will not optimized. Are you getting a point?
Yes.
Sir, can we use inline functions?
No, inline function, but that is for different purpose. That we'll discuss later.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, how we know that this below code is doing less work than up?
Because we are writing the code. If you are writing the code, because we are writing the code in this case, we should take care. That's why we are saying this is common sense optimizations.
Okay, sir.
Okay. And yes.
And sir,
Yeah.
sir, is it fine to have repeated initialization of NI? Like if we initialize it before all the loops and again assigning it, so it would be any better?
Repeated initializations.
Of
in this
NI, like inside the for loop, you are initializing NI again and again.
That will not be an issue.
Okay.
But in this case, you are doing repeated computations. But in this case, we are doing only one time. Just outside the loop, outside the winner. So replace costly operation with simpler one. So suppose shift instead of multiplying or divide by power of 2. Suppose 16 into x, it can be replaced by x shift 4. So utility is mesh independent. It depends on cost of multiply or divide functions. Okay, but nowadays this multiply operation is also very effective operations nowadays. But power consumptions wise, multiplication operations will take more power as compared to shift operations. Still, it is a valid. So even if this modern processor, they can do shift operations and multiply operations, either shift or multiply, both can be done in one cycle. But power consumption wise, still multiplication operations will take more power as compared to shift operations in internal hardware wise. Okay. This is another common sense optimizations. So avoid expensive operations. In general, all transcendental operations, okay, particularly sine, cos, or tan. So these are actually costly operations. We have function call and it takes time to calculate. Okay. So if you know that you are doing for a small number of places, okay, small number of cases, then it's better to create a table and do it. Okay. So this is called LUT operations. So suppose in this code, what we are doing, so there are left, right, up, okay, then south, north, okay. So L, R, U, O, S, and N, and this can be +1 and -1. And for a large number, so for I is equal to 0, I less than a large number, I plus plus, get next value of spin we are doing. So what we are getting the value of L, R, U, O, S, and N. So these 5 values. And BFI is equal to, so what we are trying to do, 0.5 into 1 plus 10H L, R, U, O, S, N by TT we are doing, divided by 8.3. Okay, so this is the code. But if you look at, because if you know that this L, R, U, O, S, N, they can be value from only +1 to -1, +1, 0, can be from +1 and -1. Okay, then we know how many possible values will be there. So total 14 possible values will be there. Okay, it cannot be more than that. Why not to pre-calculate them? So why not to pre-calculate them and store it? So this is from -6 to +6 you do, and I is equal to 6, you pre-calculate the things and use it. Pre-calculate the things and use it. That will be 14 values, and store the standard value in 14 values. This is, we are storing the pre-calculated value, and in this case we are simply using the things. In this case, what we are doing, so we used to do these calculations at runtime, but this whole calculations we are doing pre-calculation and storing in a LUT. So this will save a lot of time, because every time these calculations, this particular 10H calculations, okay, and another thing is 0.5 multiplications, this thing will be by TT, that also can be safely can be removed and simply can be converted into simple memory access. So this will actually, instead of a simple memory access, we are not doing this 10H operations. 10H operations will be much more costly, but in this case, we are converting to LUT access, which is much cheaper. So this is common sense optimizations. Okay, so if you know your code have this kind of thing, then only you can do. Suppose if you don't know that this L, R, U, O, S, N, these values are completely means data dependent, we don't know this value, what the value can be, then you cannot do this. But if you know this can be from +1 to -1, then definitely you can do. The precondition is we know that value cannot go out of range from +1 to -1. Then only you can do. Is this clear? Because this is for a very large number, you can save a huge amount of time. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is same thing. So another strength reductions. So earlier case, what we did? So another strength reduction, earlier code. So earlier this Ni was computed here, but still we can do another further strength reductions. Every time Ni is equal to N into I you are doing. But what you can do? So Ni is equal to plus N also we can do. So this multiplications, because for every inner loop, we are doing Ni is equal to N into I you are doing. But this can be done Ni plus equal to N. So this thing for every inner loop, so for every these things, this can be managed with one additions. We don't require multiplication. Again, we have reduced the strength. Okay, This is another example of again strength reductions. So floating point division is slow as compared to addition and multiplications. In most of the architecture, division is slower as compared to multiplication. Suppose you are doing x is equal to x by 3.0. Okay, so this is the code. So what you are trying to do, x is equal to. So what you are trying to do, x is equal to these things. X is equal to x by 3 you are doing. But this division is actually costly. Division takes time. Division is slow. But instead, if you can do these things, x is equal to x into 0.333. But it is an approximated value. But this will be faster. Multiplication will be faster. Division are slower. In hardware, division are slower, but multiplication are faster. And the earlier case also, whatever we did, avoid the transcendental functions, sine, cos, tan, take huge amount of time. So use lookup table. So if you know the possible values, pre-computed possible, if possible, then use them. So in this left side code, so for I is equal to 0 to 10,000, so what are trying to do? So sine pi by 4 if it is even, if it is odd, then sine pi by 8 you are doing. So we are doing calculation for only two values, sine pi by 4 and sine pi by 8. So why not to do, because only for two values, create a LUT, LUT 0 and LUT 1, lookup table 1, where you store sine pi by 4 and in this case sine pi by 8 and use it. So these are the very common sense optimizations. So don't try to do the transcendental functions at runtime. So try to make a LUT if possible. Okay, so try to convert floating point division to multiplications, similar kind of things, do strength reduction. These are the very common examples. And whenever there is a common sub-expression eliminations, try to remove it. So reuse portion of the expressions. Compiler often unsophisticated about exploiting arithmetic operations. But if you can do on our own, then why not to do? So if you look at this code, so there are three multiplications. So in this case, so there are three multiplications. Okay, I minus 1 into n, I into n, then I plus 1 into n, and then I into n. So there are two I into n, and I minus 1 into n, and I plus 1 into n. And this can be very nicely managed because this three multiplications can be managed with only one multiplications. These three multiplications can be managed with only one multiplications. These three multiplications can be managed with one multiplications because I into n, I minus 1 into n, and I plus 1 into n. So this can be managed. If you compute I into n, then what you can do? I into n minus n and I into n plus n. It will get other things. So this is how we can manage. This is I into n. Yeah.
Sir, is multiplication more expensive compared to addition and subtraction as well? Division is fine, but this is.
Division is expensive. Multiplications is nowadays it is time wise almost same, but power consumptions wise, multiplication is a little bit costlier as compared to additions in terms of
So
power
here we
consumption.
are just
Time wise,
saving.
yeah.
Okay, so time is not being saved here, only power is kind of.
Power is saved. But in some cases, okay, so in some hardware, it may not happen that multiplication may take higher time than additions.
Okay, sir.
Okay. But this is common sense optimizations. Without looking at internal, also you can do these things. So three multiplications are you can reduce to one multiplications. Anyway, number of operations are here higher. So that number of operations you are reducing. Compiler will do that thing internally, but why to trust compiler? You can do this if you are writing your own code. Okay, so there are another kind of optimizations. Let's see. So common sense optimization, loop jamming. So this is in compiler domain people do these things. So suppose this is the So this is the thing. This is first loop, and this is second loop. In first loop, what we are doing for I is equal to 0 to 10,000, we are doing very small stops, something, do stops in for each I, okay, for each iterations, small independent work. And in the second loop, we are doing again, do some more stop for independent work for each I, okay, some more work. So why not to combine both? So if you combine both, then what happens? Because compiler will not combine this thing, because do stop I and do more stop I. So these are two separate procedures. Compiler will not try to combine these things. If you know both are independent, you try to do on your own. So coder need to do this thing. Compiler will not do. Okay, so it's better to combine both the things so that you will save many branches. Okay, so in this case, for loop, this for loop sites. So this is actually 10,000 branches. This is 10,000 branches. You will manage with only 1,000 branches instead of 2,000 branches.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, number of function calls will remain same in both.
Yeah, number of function call will be remain, sir. But the number of branches, for loop branches, that for loop will be merged to a single one.
Sir, could you repeat this point?
So this number of instruction in for loop. So here this for loop is getting executed. This is executed 10,000 times. This is also executed 10,000 times. So there are two for loop executed 10,000 plus 10,000, and internally this is 10,000 times. This is 10,000 times. In this case, this is 10,000. This is 10,000. Any of this thing will not change. But this loop, it is executing one time. So in that way, you will save time. But compiler will not do automatically.
Sir, but
Because-
in case of loop unrolling, won't it be the same thing? Both the cases.
This is reverse of loop unrolling. This is reverse of loop unrolling. So why do loop unrolling? That we'll discuss. Okay.
So does it take any time to execute and terminate the loops?
This takes time because these things, the first loop, suppose this will take suppose 1 second, and this is also take 1 second. And for this also, for executing this loop, okay, loop body itself. This is loop body.
Yes.
Okay, but this is loop structure. Okay, this is loop structure. Loop structure also take time. So you will save time in executing the loop structure. Inside body, anyhow, it will take some time. You got my point?
Yes, sir.
And this is again what earlier used to do that. So what you are trying to do. So suppose this first code for I is equal to 0 to 10,000. Why I am putting 10,000 is a big number. Okay. And what I are trying to do functions t comma I. And this is the functions t and d, and do some lot of stuffs here. So these are suppose we're calling these functions inside a for loop. Inside a for loop. So what we can do, so for each t and I, okay, so for each t and I, so if you can split it out, so font ti, so font ti you are doing, so t, and this is for each iterations we are trying to do, okay. So font t, if you can separate it out, and for each w, so for ti we know, for each I, you try to split it out. If it is possible, then this is better code, because here it is number of function call is actually, if you look at number of function call is 10,000 function call you are doing. In this case, number of function call is 1 and 1, but inside functions who are doing the operations, not the function call. So instead of looping inside function is better than means looping for functions. Okay, so function loop should be avoided. Okay, looping inside functions we should do. So if possible for some code. Are you getting a point? Because if you call functions a lot of time, then function call takes time. This is some common sense of optimizations. Okay. And let's look at another very simplistic examples. This is also common sense, we say. So let's you are writing a vector editing code. So vector editing in C++. So this is C++ kind of code. And this shows the, let me change to pointer. So this is a vector editing, and this have a attribute data. This data points to the actual data. This is the actual data points, and this is the length store the what is the length of the data. And suppose this vector editing app in C++ vector editing app 3 procedure. So new vec creation of new vector of length, and this is get vector elements. So vector elements means this is the vector pointer, initial pointer, and what is the index, and at what destinations we want to get value of that vector positions. Suppose this vector is b, then v, then suppose second positions I want, and x is equal to get vec element b2. If you do that, then b2 will get into the x. Okay. Retrieve vector element, store at destination star. Okay. Return 0 if out of bound. And third, suppose I actually get vector start. So return the pointer to the start of the vector. So these are the three, suppose vector procedure is there. Then if suppose based on this, you try to write some code. So this is the initial code. This is the procedure to sum all the element of the vector. Combine, this is a procedure from. So vector pointer b and integer destination star dest. Okay. So what we are trying to do. So for destination star, you are putting initialize with 0. For I is equal to I vector length b, I plus plus, int is equal to val, then get vector element b, I, ampersand val. Whenever you are calling this procedure, then val is equal to what it is trying to do in this case. Ultimately, in this case, actually, val is equal to b, I. It will do these operations. So ith element of vector v, okay, will be read and put into the value val. And after that, what we are doing? Destinations is equal to val. So ultimately, whatever the destination value, star dest is equal to star dest plus whatever the value we are getting. So this is summing up. This is summing up. So what kind of operations you can do from this code?
Sir, we can add directly to the destination inside the function. Like we can, instead of using get vec element, we can use add vec element, which adds to the pointer provided. So we can supply dest directly.
So first thing,
we can also move val out of the for loop.
Yeah. The first thing is the.
Sir, we are also computing the length of vector after every iteration, so we can take it out.
This can be taken out. So this is first thing. Okay, so let's see what kind of optimizations you can do. So first thing is computation of vector length. Take out. Okay, so code motion you do. That is you can do. Length is equal to vec length, and every time do for length. So now, so here for every time you are getting the value element. You are calling a functions and getting a value. Get vec length. So is it necessary?
No, sir.
For every reading of vi, you are calling a functions. So that is also unnecessary. So what you can do? So instead of doing that, so this get vec elements, so particularly this get vec elements, so try to remove the get vec element and try to get it at a once. So you create another data, okay, start data, and get all the data of the vector together. Because already we know the length. Okay, so now data will be placed in this. We will get this get vec start. It will actually get the starting pointer of the v. If you know the starting pointer of the v, starting pointer of B, then we can place in this pointer values at data, and you can access data I as data I.
Sir, can we also like do all the addition in one temporary variable and only set the pointer at list?
Yeah, that also you can do. So let's see. So whatever you are telling, that thing also you can do. So in this code, every time we are trying to write into destination's pointer. So why we will do the memory difference? Okay. So we can reduce the memory difference, eliminate unneeded memory difference. So we are storing in the pointer some values, and after summation is we are getting, then we can do the memory access, writing into the pointer values. Okay. So these summations, whenever scalar value manipulation to scalar values can be done in register. But whenever we are doing it register, particularly pointer address, this is get converted into this get start dest equal to something. Whenever we are doing this is actually a whenever we are doing plus something. In this case, this is actually 3 memory reference. This is reading value at start dest, then adding with data I. This is also memory address and memory access, and again storing back. So this statement have 3 memory access. This statement have 3 memory access. But in this case, so this internal statement have only 1 memory access, and at the end we are doing another memory access. So in this case, L plus 1, length plus 1 memory access. But in previous case, it will be L into 3 memory access. Are you getting a point?
So what is the difference between pointer V and pointer data?
Pointer V.
Won't both be the starting pointer only?
Yeah. B where we are storing the actual data. B we are storing the actual data. This data pointer is we are declaring a data pointer. By this function, we'll get the functions. What is the starting point of B and placed here. So this now data point to the vector, original vector B.
Yeah.
You got my point? V where the actual data stored.
Got it, sir. That is a pointer to the vector basically, and V was the vector declared.
V is already available, and we are declaring a start data, another pointer to that vector. Okay, so these are the again the same examples. String length can be taken out in this case. String length can be, and in general, yeah.
Sir, in the previous slide, one more. Sir, why referring to sum doesn't count as a memory reference? Like when we are adding into sum, then why are we not considering as a memory reference?
So this one is memory reference, but this one is not memory reference.
Sir, sum plus is equals to data is actually sum is equals to sum plus data.
Yeah.
Right. So to get the value of sum, we have to
No. Scalar variable get allocated to register. Scalar variable get allocated to register, but vector variables cannot get allocated to register. It need to get to
so basically the value
convert into memory.
Basically this value of sum will be stored in a register in the processor.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
So that's why it is it will not be converted to memory access. So in this case of the same thing, so the string length can be come out of the for loop, but in general what happens, we should do on our own. So we should not depend on compilers. So optimization blocker, procedure caller actually optimization blocker. Why could not the compiler move the back length or string length out of the inner loop? Okay, so we should not trust the compiler. Procedure might have side effect after global state of each time called, and function might not return the same value for the given argument. Because of that thing, actually compiler ignore this kind of optimizations. We need to do on our own. Okay, so function might not return the same value for a given argument, depend on other part of the global states, and in general compiler ignores these things. And linker may be overloaded with different version of useless, unless declared static, and interpersonal optimization is not so extensively used due to cost, and compiler treat the procedure as black box, and because of this reason, so compiler will not optimize your code. Okay, you need to do on your own. So particularly this kind of things you need to do on your code, because these are actually a lot of procedure. But in modern days compiler, modern day particular C++ 14, after C++ 14, so they have declared some kind of what you can say structure for some functions. So they have defined for this kind of functions, we can do optimization, then they do optimization also in C++ 14. So that also we'll discuss. Okay, so now for this class, so things are finished. Okay, so this thing already you have discussed. So use a pointer rather than array reference. Some compiler do better job in C++ 11 and 14. So even optimizing compiler. So inside compiler also, some compiler can do very nice for procedural code also, particularly vectorized code, schematized and vectorized code. And for specific functions they do, not for all the functions.
Sir, we have class at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, so class is done. Exactly, I'm not taking more time. Class is done. If you have any questions, you can ask. Otherwise, you may.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, in the last slide, there was a linker.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean by linker?
Linker, it links the procedures. So what is the slides? This one, no?
Yes.
So linker in compiler, whenever you're doing compilations, that is a one page linking and loading. Okay, linking the procedures and all variables of the code. So whenever you do write a main program, include std, because these things are comes from some other procedures, other places. Okay, so this linker link and make it one code. This is compiler job. Compiler have this linker. Okay, and loader means at runtime it's load the things and run. Okay. Is it fine? Any other questions? If you don't have questions, we can stop the class. So let me